face your sisters in this hall. You have betrayed us all, and now you will be tried still and give up every member of the Black Ajah before you die.
You're right. I will. Join me. No!
I know I'm supposed to say something, folks, but wow. Hi, everyone. It's John from What Up. Welcome back to another video, and that was just a small snippet of the 12 minutes that was released this morning from the Wheel of Time as part of the cold open for Season 3, Episode 1. And this is what Rafe was talking about, where he was saying the first 15 minutes of the show are absolutely bonkers. It's a bunch of women just shredding each other, and folks, it's absolutely amazing. So what we're going to do in today's video is we're going to break it down. We'll go through. There's a ton of Easter eggs. We're also going to explain what's going on in the scene for those of you who haven't seen it yet. We'll talk about it a bit here. I'm kind of amalgamating my breakdown / Easter egg videos that I do for each regular episode for this, because it's only 12 minutes, so we can probably do them both at once. But absolutely glorious. If you want to see the full thing, the link is down below in the description box. I implore you to do so. It's on Prime Video right now, but it's on socials everywhere too. You can find it literally everywhere, and it's really, really good, folks. I know I've been saying this for a while, but if you're not excited about the show yet, this should get you excited. So please make us your home for Wheel of Time news. Subscribe to the channel, like the video, tell 2 friends, tell your dog, tell your veterinarian. It doesn't matter. Tell someone about What Up, so we can just enjoy this stuff together for Season 3, because this, from what I've seen of the season, folks, is just the beginning. All right, let's bring up some stills from this cold open, and we'll start talking about it. We'll walk through it. I'll talk about what's going on here for those of you who haven't seen it yet, so you'll get an idea of what's happening, and then we'll pick out some Easter eggs here and there. There's some really cool things that are happening. What I do want to say, though, is for this is we are going to give a spoiler warning of at least Book 5. I have to, because we're going to talk about some elements that are happening and things that are going on within the book series that are showcased in the Easter egg portion of the video. Now, normally my Easter egg videos are full 14 book spoilers. We'll go Book 5 for this, so if you haven't read up to the Fires of Heaven, be forewarned. When I get to the Easter egg portion, and probably throughout, I'm going to be talking about a few things that are going to spoil stuff from up to Book 5, but nothing major. These are minor spoilers, folks. I'm not going to go and say big things that happened. It's more talking about objects of power, things that are going on with some of the characters, little bits of the plot, things of that nature. But be forewarned, there is some spoilers here. So let's bring up these photos. All right, folks. So like I said, this is the cold open, and it starts off in Tar Valon. Now, we knew at some point or another they would be back in Tar Valon, and there's been a lot of speculation that we're going to get a battle of some sorts in Tar Valon in Season 3, because there was leaks months ago about this whole teaser, or I call it a teaser. It's a cold open, folks. It is exactly what happens before the credits of Season 1. And it's not the full cold open either. Rafe Judkins has said on social media there is more to this. There is more coming. It's not the full thing. But it starts out in Tar Valon, which we kind of expected to be, and we do get to see Moraine and Lan there. So Moraine and Lan are back in Tar Valon. And we've already seen a bunch of images of the Emond's Fielders in Tar Valon. I can only assume that they're all there at the same time, but we're not 100% sure at that point. But they are in Tar Valon. This confirms that Moraine is there, has traveled back to the tower. Next, we get a shot of this. So we have speculated for quite some time that we're probably going to see the death of one of Alana's warders. Knowing that Maxim makes it at least to the Battle of the Two Rivers, which you've seen in the teaser trailer, we know that Ivan is likely the one that doesn't make it out. And I would say that we had shots of that same hallway, or alleyway rather, that Alana and all of the Black Sisters were standing in at the end of what got released this morning, with Maxim and Ivan on either side of her in a big battle. We've seen shots of her crying in that scene. So let's say, I'm going to say that likely Ivan doesn't make it out alive there, but we're not 100% sure on that just yet. All right, so I wanted to point out something here. This is something I noticed this morning when I watched it a number of times over and over, and that is, here's the Leandrin standing in front of the Hall of Tower. So we have a shot so far. What's happening in the teaser is Swan looks out lovingly over Tar Valon in the direction of Moraine. Moraine looks lovingly back at the tower. And then Swan goes to the Hall of the Tower, calls 11 of the sitters, not all of them, but 11 of them, to basically bring justice to Liandrin and accuse her of being Black Ajah. Now, she steps up in front of them, and she's trying to accuse the Amyrlin of doing stuff that the Amyrlin totally did, but in sneaky Aes Sedai fashion, the Amyrlin sidesteps it and just accuses her of being Black Ajah, which kind of hijacks the whole thing. But look at what Liandrin's wearing. So Liandrin is a red sister in public, but she's a black sister, a member of the Black Ajah in private. And she has a lot of black just striped through her outfit. I can't imagine that isn't on purpose, folks. I did look at a lot of the other Aes Sedai in the that are sitters in this scene when they're fighting. None of them seem to have the same stripes of black through their outfit like Liandrin did, but Liandrin has been basically outed at this point, and they were still staying hidden. She's sort of flaunting what she is, which I thought was really, really very cool. Swan then accuses her of being Black Ajah, and I just want to take a moment just to... We've seen pictures of this from the official stuff, but look at her costume, folks. It's absolutely gorgeous, and we've seen this same costume on Moiraine in what we can only assume are alternate futures and realities that she's seen when going through the rings from the trailer. So I assume that's Amyrlin Moiraine when she's going through the rings. And then they bring in Nynaeve. Nynaeve comes in to basically accuse Liandrin, and she doesn't really say a whole lot of anything, but Swan mentions that Liandrin took Nynaeve and sold her to the Shan-Shan and accuses her of being Black Ajah. And Nynaeve is there. So we know now that Nynaeve is also in the tower. So of the main characters, of the main cast, we know that Alana and her warders are there. We know that Moiraine and Lan are there. We know Nynaeve is there. With that being known, plus what we've seen in the teaser trailer and the trailer, where we've seen Matt, Rand, and Perrin, in what appears to be an inn within Tar Valon, as well as some shots of Elaine and Avienda in what appear to also be rooms within the tower that have those stained glass inserts in the back with the royal lines of Andor. We can only assume that we're probably starting out the third season in Tar Valon with everyone, which makes sort of kind of sense. You don't want to really waste time getting there for the season. You want to start there, you want to explain it all the way as a time jump, because they don't have that much time each season. They only have 8 episodes. Next you have this. This is a really good shot, folks. This is Alana and Lyanna shielding Liandrin. I like how the shields work in the show. Basically envelops their whole body and then just kind of goes inside them. Really, really neat portrayal of it. And this entire cold open, folks, is just full of channeling. And I'm not going to lie to you, very worried about how they would portray channeling in battles on screen. This was chaotic. This was a lot, but it was filmed and framed so well. So essentially, one of the big complaints I had about all of the battles so far in the series, at season 1 and season 2, is they were not well done. And they totally weren't bad, but they weren't as well done as they could have been. They felt empty. They felt disjointed. This was filmed in a bunch of tight, short shots. It almost felt like Sam Raimi was directing this. It was great. There's a horror-esque aspect to it. Those quick shots back and forth. The cameras that are panning around, they're tight in on the individuals doing things rather than showing a big empty space around them. This was filmed magnificently. So this is, in my opinion, a massive upgrade, a huge upgrade from what I consider to be disappointing battle at the end of season 2 and the ones that we had in season 1. This is, folks, like, I don't understand how anyone cannot watch this and go, I gotta try the season. So if you folks are out there that don't like the show and you've seen this, this should give you enough pause to go, I need to see more. I need to see more, folks, because this is great. And then you have the Amyrlin accusing Liandrin, and this is just sort of an iconic shot. Liandrin's just lifted up, and the camera goes up behind her. I think this was really, really smart camera work, folks, and it worked really, really well. You have the Amyrlin's throne in behind her, the Amyrlin's seat, rather, in behind Swan. You have her keeper. You have Alana, which is one of the major sisters in the show that is not Moiraine, behind her. Nynaeve off to the right there, just looking dejected and sad and just kind of out of place, and everyone watching. Absolutely a glorious shot as far as I'm concerned. And then the battle ensues. Liandrin calls on her Black Ajah sisters. They all come out, and a lot of the sitters, like a fair number of them, are Black Ajah, and they support her, and they fight the Hall of the Tower. Now, This is not exactly what happened within the books. It was more of a quiet slip away. They stole a bunch of stuff, people died, things happened, but it was mostly off page, and it mostly wasn't made a big deal within the book series as far as the reader was concerned. It was a thing that happened, but wasn't specifically described. So this isn't exactly how this happened in the book series, but in my opinion, this at least in a cinematography type way works way better, in my opinion. I like this. I also like that within this battle, we have Nynaeve trying her absolute hardest to channel, and she can't. So we didn't see a lot of that on the show. We've seen it a few times so far, especially at the end of season 2 when she tried to heal Elaine, where her block took center space. It was there. And it hasn't totally been explained in great detail yet in the show. It's been mentioned a few times, but this is another aspect where they're showing it. She can't channel, and that's a big core concept of Nynaeve's character. She's not angry yet. In the book series, Nynaeve has to be angry to be able to channel. Here, she's more frightened and upset and sad. She's not angry. She's got to get angry. She's like a channeling Hulk, I guess is the best way to put it. She has to be mad, and when she's mad, she can blow stuff up. So there's that. And if you take a look at these shots, like here you have 3 of the Black Ajah members surrounding Liandrin. Liandrin's being held up, encased in a protective ball of fire by the Amyrlin, which is also sort of kind of torturing her a bit. I have some questions about that. And they're fighting everyone around them. And if you notice, look at the hand movements. One of the big aspects of channeling within the book series is that the sisters all learned hand movements when they channeled. And when they learn these hand movements, you can actually tell who trained who based on how they learn the weaves. And when they learn a weave a certain way, which includes movements, if they don't practice it that way, it doesn't really work. They can learn other ways of doing things. It's possible, but they're always weaker and they're never as effective. So they are showcasing the hand-waving movements of the sisters in this entire cold open, which makes me really happy because we've seen a shot of Aviendha in the trailer where she sort of creates a fire spear and she's not waving around and waving her arms and doing stuff. She just makes it happen, which is what the Aiel do in the books. And they kind of look down on the Aes Sedai as being inferior channelers because they learned all that hand waving. And if you get rid of their hands like they did in season 1 where they chopped off that Yellow Sister's hands in the first scenes of the show, they're kind of useless, right? So really cool. Props to them for showcasing this. I really liked it. And just the visual effects, you folks that have been around the channel for a while know that I'm a child of the 80s. I like rubber suits. I like practical effects. I totally dislike, I hate, that's the best way to put it, VFX, unless I can tell it's not done by CG and computer. This here, it's done well enough that I'm happy with it. Like the CG with the channeling here, I'm totally happy with that. It's chaotic. There's enough going on that you're not totally drawn in on one piece at a time. And there's enough practical mixed with the CG that it makes it absolutely amazing in my opinion. Next, I want to talk about this. So this is a shot of the 13th Depository. Now, the 13th Depository is a place where, like it describes in the Cold Open, a lot of the most powerful Sangreal, Angreal, and Ter Angreal are kept. And this is where our first little batch of Easter eggs, other than the fact that Nynaeve has a block, starts to come into play, and we'll talk about them in just a moment. But we get to see some very iconic Ter Angreal in there, including one that I think that everyone has been just salivating over and fighting about for the last 6 months. So next I want to give a shot of this. So this is Jeannie. She is a Green Sister, and I just needed to talk about this for a moment because it was absolutely chilling the way she reacted to her warders' deaths. So in this, she is trying to get into the Hall of the Tower, and you have some Red Sisters protecting the doors outside. They kill both her warders, and instead of reacting in a way that you would expect an Aes Sedai to react, break down, cry, she is thrilled at the pain. She just revels in it, and she's almost in ecstasy from their deaths. Totally Grendel-like. I super loved it. It just made me super happy that they're going to portray a Black Sister like that on screen. One of the Black Ajah comes in and does that. Oh, she's going to be a delight to watch the whole season, I think, when it comes to that. Just creepy as shit. And here it is here. This is the shot of her after her warders are dead, and she is just, you can tell she likes it. It's creepy and scary and horrible, but it's something to watch, folks. Then we have this. So this is our first shot of the 13th Depository. Now, the 13th Depository has a lot of objects of power in it, but they didn't specifically mention any of them by name. But a lot of them are pretty iconic, and a lot of them are mentioned in the book series. So essentially, when Leandrin and the other Black Ajah fled the tower, they stole a bunch of things called sleepweavers. They stole some other things as well, and a lot of them are really sort of done well in the show here. They're shown in such a way that you know what they are, and they're easy to pick out if you've read the series and you remember this, or if you can go back and take a look at some of the companions and stuff. And you've shot of two of them on the either side here. You have a rod on the left, and you have what appears to be a dagger on the right. These ones I couldn't find exact descriptions of within the books or in the companions, so they could be really anything, but when you get into some of the other ones, it's very obvious what they are. So for example, this one here, I had some questions about. I wasn't totally sure about it, but it appears to be a bracelet that looks almost like the ones that the Suldam and the Shanshan use. And then underneath it is what appears to be, I thought that was a stand at first. I honestly think that's the necklace. That's the neck piece for it. And why would they have a Shanshan bracelet neck piece in here? And they don't look exactly the same as the ones that the Shanshan use either. They're slightly different. These ones, I believe, are probably what's known as the Dominion bands, or I think the sort of nickname the fandom has given them are sad bracelets. So it is an Adam, but it is one that is used for men. So it's a way of totally controlling a man who can channel. Now, it's really, really difficult. It takes a lot of effort. It comes with two separate bracelets and one necklace. That way they can share the load of, two women can share the load of controlling a man and channeling through him against his will. This is an incredibly important point within the books. And in fact, it's one of the things that the Black Ajah are searching for in Tanchicho. That's why they go there. And that's one of the things that the girls Nynaeve and Elaine find there, and they end up giving to Bail Damon and say, here, get rid of this, because it's super dangerous to Rand, because that's what they were thinking about at the time. Now, we're not totally sure if this is a Dominion band, if this is one of the sad bracelets, but folks, I can't think of anything else it could possibly be, and big props to Geeky Ari for helping out with this one, because I was scratching my head at it. I had to ask her, and she was like, I think this is what it is. I'm like, you're totally right. So thank you so much, Ari. I appreciate that. And then we get a shot of this. Now this, folks, this is what we want to talk about. Like, people have been asking me forever. Any mention of the Finn in the show. And honestly, realistically, I haven't seen anything big talked about the Finn. There are small things here and there that I've seen that are leaks that mention the Finn, so at least there's lore and different things like that are happening within the world. But this can't be anything other than a red twisted stone door frame. You have it carved with snakes, you have it carved with foxes, and this has to be one of the doorways to entry into the realm of the Finn. So we know that Matt Cawthon's in the tower, or at least he is in the in Tar Valon, and we've seen pictures and shots of him within the Water Terror training grounds, so we know he's in the tower. So it is entirely possible that he does make his way into the realm of the Finn through this. A lot of people are really upset that he wasn't in the Waste storyline, or at least there's been no huge mentions of him in the Waste storyline that we are aware of. There's been no leaks whatsoever. And they were very concerned that he wouldn't go through the red twisted stone doorframe and meet the Finn and get his gifts. Now, what he gets from going through the doorway are a couple of different things. So he goes through one doorway, and that doorway in tier gives him answers. So he asks a bunch of questions. They give him some answers. He doesn't understand what they mean. He gets kind of frustrated, and then he leaves, and he's mad about it because to him it's just gibberish. It makes no sense. He sees another red twisted stone door frame later on in the Waste and Roydian, and he's like, same one as the other one. It's got to be. Looks a little different. It'll be fine. He steps through that. That door frame, you don't ask questions. You ask for boons or gifts. You ask for things, but you have to pay a price for them. You're supposed to bargain and tell them what you want, and then tell them what you're going to give them. He does not do that. He just rants and raves, and in his rant and his rave, he asks for a couple of different things. He wants to be away of rid of the Aes Sedai. He wants the holes of his memory filled. He says these things without realizing what he's saying, and he never asks for anything specific, knowingly anyway, and he never gives them a price, what he was willing to pay for it. So he ends up getting hung afterwards. So he is hanging from the tree of life afterwards, Avendasora, with his Ashandri above his head, him tied to that, and then, of course, Rand comes and saves him. So there was always a question, how is he going to get his Foxhead medallion? which is his way of getting rid of the Aes Sedai. How, because essentially it protects the wearer from being channeled at. How does he have his holes in his memory filled? Because in the book series, he has the memories of pretty much every great general ever. He can speak the old tongue fluently. There's a bunch of different abilities that come with that. And he also, his luck has always been good, but when he came out of that door frame, it got supercharged. It was like he was lucky beforehand, but he became incredibly lucky after he left that door frame. And he could hear the dice rolling in his head anytime something important happened. People were worried how they were going to portray that in the show. Folks, here's a door frame. Maybe he goes through this. We're not 100% sure, but I would hope he does. All right, so here's the carved six-spotted dice that they talk about in the books. This Terra Ingreal in the book series, the official usage of it is unknown. However, when channeling at it, luck seems to be suspended in some way, shape, or form. Flipping a coin to land on heads pretty much forever, or on its side forever. So this is a way to basically mimic Matt's luck. I think Matt's superpower in the book series through this Terra Ingreal, and it is one of the Terra Ingreal that Liandrin and her crew stole from the tower. So this is actively described in the book series, and this is what this appears to be. So I'm pretty excited about that. And then we have in the background an alabaster figure. You get to see a better shot of it here, I think, soon, but we'll go back to that. It's one of the sleepweavers. So the sleepweavers are essentially Terra Ingreal that women can channel into to enter the World of Dreams, Teleran Rioid. The World of Dreams is super important to the book series, and it's super important especially to the Shadow and the Black Ajah, because it's one of those ways where it gives them a huge tactical advantage over the light. If there's no dreamers on the light side and there's a ton of dreamers on the side of the dark, it's just no contest on what's going to happen there. So all of these sleepweavers were stolen, and over the course of the series, people tried to recover them. I think 20 in total were stolen and 19 were recovered, so to speak, in the books. This is another one, an iron disc with a spiral cut into it. This is another sleepweaver you can channel into and enter the World of Dreams. And here is a better shot of that alabaster figure and what we think are the Dominion bands. So this scene does feature Varen opening the 13th depository, getting overpowered, and then one of the Black Ajah stealing a lot of the objects of power. So this is probably where they stole all of the sleepweavers. Maybe not the full 20, like in the books, but they definitely stole a fair number of objects of power from here. And you also get to see a crystal rod in the background in one of these things, which is another sleepweaver that's described in the books. Really cool stuff, folks. Nice nods to the things that are happening in the series. When I do my Easter egg video for episode 1, I'll bring this up in more detail, and we'll talk about the history of each one of them. Now we have here, I'm going to have to move myself because I'm covering up the best part of the shot here. So this is a shot of Swan being healed, and why I wanted to bring this up is because you see the Yellow Sister healing Swan. It's realistically only a couple of different weaves. And one of the things that they talk about in the book series is that the Yellow Sisters only used the bare minimum of what they can do to heal. It was called the hastiest battlefield healing in the Age of Legends. This is what Aes Sedai do now. And Nynaeve Almira just turns that on his head and ends up using all 5 powers and just weaving full tapestries to heal people. But this, again, Swan's getting healed, but very, very basic weaves being used to heal her. That's another thing. So we've seen a link in the books. We've seen a couple of links in the books, actually, or in the series, rather. The first one was in season 1 at the end, where Lady Amalisa linked with a couple of the girls from Elman's Field, and it ended disastrously for them. It was one of the sticking points for a lot of people that they didn't really like that scene very much and how it portrayed. This is, in my opinion, a much better portrayal of a link. They all willingly linked with Liandrin, gave her power, and she used that massive amount of power from the other Black Ajah to basically destroy everything around her within the Hall of the Tower, and used that time afterwards to escape with them. And we get a shot here of Varen with... This is something I want to talk about in more of a full book spoilers video, because I think we'll do a full video on Varen. That'll be full book spoilers, and you folks who've read the books, you know why. But this scene in particular really strikes hard because of that. But because we're only talking about book 5, I can't go really much further than that right now. And then finally, the last shot we have is of Alana in this street. This is the same street where she's crying over someone on the ground that is dead. And the only two people that are with her warders in this shot. So that's why I'm saying likelihood of one of them dying is pretty high. And it's likely not maximum because we've seen him at the Battle of the Two Rivers. But this is, it's almost Western type inspired. You have 7 of the Black Ajah standing there against Liandrin and her 2 warders. Absolute chills. We don't get to see the battle. It cuts off before we do. And I'm not going to lie to you folks. I think it was very smart they did that because it's one of those things, it leaves you wanting more. When I first watched it, I thought a natural ending point would have been when Liandrin blew up the Hollow Tower. I thought that would have been better for them to cut it off there rather than seeing the rest of it. But seeing this where it doesn't appear to be, at least in my opinion, a natural ending point for a cold open, because it's not. Rafe had said there is more beyond this. It does leave the viewer wanting a bit more. So initially, I didn't think it was a smart idea, but the more I watched, the more I thought about it. Yeah, I think it was kind of smart for them to end sort of in the middle of something, not at a natural stopping point. Either way. So let's bring myself up here back big. There we go. Now, folks, I want to talk a little bit about how smart this was. So there's been a lot of people that were disappointed in the first 2 seasons of the show, and there's been a lot of people who super loved the first 2 seasons of the show. The people who loved the first 2 seasons of the show are excited about season 3, and they want to see it. And the majority of you who watch this channel, and I'm included in this group, I loved the first 2 seasons to pieces. I can't wait to get more Wheel of Time. I want to see more. But there were a lot of people who either sort of watched it a little bit and, didn't like it too much, or they kind of picked at it, or they'd never read the books at all. It was just sort of a show, but it didn't really catch their eye. And then there were the people who had read the books that didn't enjoy the first 2 seasons because of some of the things that had happened. Letting this cold open come out into the open, no pun intended, I guess, is super, super smart because it was glorious. I can't find a single bad thing to say about it. Everything I've seen, every message I've received from you folks, everything I've seen on my social media, because I posted some of the stuff on social media this morning, everything has been overwhelmingly positive. And I reached out to some of my contacts at the show, and I talked to them about that. And I basically said, like, this has been probably the most positive reaction I've seen from anything that has ever been released marketing-wise for the show ever, at least that I've seen. And again, that's not a huge sample size, folks. We're a fairly small YouTube channel, or we're not real big, but I think we have a good mix of different types of Wheel of Time fans that watch my content, and I think it's a pretty good bet that a lot of people out there are really, really, really happy with this from everything that I've seen. The hype levels are absolutely wild. And you understand, this is just the beginning of the marketing is just beginning, folks. The cast interviews are coming. I will let you know that after February 24th, I'll be able to release my cast interviews. So sometime after that date, at least that is the date that I've been given right now. The embargo is lifted on that. So you'll see cast interviews from me and everyone else starting around that time frame. You're looking at more Wheel of Time Wednesdays. There are more things to come. We still haven't seen behind the scenes stuff. We haven't seen music. We haven't seen some of the costuming. There are a lot of things they did for the first couple of seasons that they may not do for this season, but I think they will. I think we're going to see some really, really wild stuff between now and March 13th when the show airs. And I, for one, am living for every single moment of it. This is just super fun for me. And I want to thank you all for being on this wild ride with me the last 5 years that the channel's been going, 5.5 years now, and I can't wait for season 3 to drop and start doing this every single day with you folks. It's the best time of my year, so I want to thank you all for that. Now, I want to get to hear what you folks think, so let me know in the comments down below if you've seen it, what you thought of it, and if you didn't see it, do you plan on watching it? Because right now you can see it on Prime, and if you don't have Prime, then of course go to Instagram. Rafe Judkins' Instagram has it. Taylor Napier's Instagram has it. Rosamund Pike's Instagram has it. See, even I think of her, it's just Moraine, not Rosamund Pike. Basically, you look at most of the cast of the show. They've uploaded a fair bit of this cold open, but I think Instagram only supports up to about 5 minutes or so for a lot of this. But you'll at the very least be able to see some of it, which is wild. And it will be live on YouTube at some point. I couldn't tell you when because I'm not sure when this video is going to be posted, but it is supposed to be at some point today. It will be live. And I don't want to give a time because the time that we knew of, when it was supposed to be live, didn't happen. that happened a long time ago. Happened this morning, early. So there's that. But let me know in the comments down below what you folks thought of the teaser, or the cold open rather, what you think is going to happen in season 3. What are you excited for? And I know a lot of you out there, a lot of you have been very passionate about the fin. Let me know if you're happy you finally get to see the red twisted door frame and what it means for season 3. All right, thanks for sticking with me here to the very end. Here's to many more.